Welcome to Leap Alive Sports Sunday morning here. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. Got some preseason football to talk about and a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We are here live. Chris and John, what's going on at Tampa Bay and surrounding states and cities? Chris, how's your Sunday morning?
It's a Sunday and there's no football going on today. We're going to have to talk about some games from Friday and Saturday. You got one game Monday. Let's kind of recap the games that we had Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Good deal.
Get you caught up on those first, and then we'll get going and do a little bit of talk about some of these teams and what they've been doing and who's injured, who's doing all right.
Rock and roll.
All right, let's start with the Thursday's games. We had the Eagles 20, Patriots 37.
And just stop real quick right there. It's preseason, right?
It is preseason.
All right, just checking.
And I did predict the blowout there, and it was not the blowout I expected, but the Eagles were never in the game.
Gotcha.
As I assumed.
Gotcha.
We had the Steelers put up 34 on the Packers, but the Packers put 51 up on the Steelers. That's a lot of points in a preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
Some jobs won and some jobs lost there. Jets lost 13-15 to the Redskins.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move to the Friday games. Chiefs 28, Falcons 14. I know preseason scores don't really matter. Like I said, I love the Falcons this year.
I got you.
Giants put up 30 on the Lions 17. Your team not winning a game there, John.
Real quick on that, on the Giants. Did Barkley play?
You know what? I don't know.
Because I know we were talking earlier about that and hoping that they kind of rested him.
Let me see. You know what? I was busy running around this weekend and did not see that game. He did not play.
Okay. Good.
At least he did not have any rushing yards.
Good.
And he doesn't have any receiving yards. So no negative on Barkley playing.
Smart.
With the injuries, I think that's a great decision.
Yeah.
I'd hate to see him get hurt in the preseason and not play
Gotcha.
The whole regular season. Bills 19, Browns 17. Those are two interesting teams this year. It'll be interesting to watch to see if either of them are any good.
Mm-hmm.
Dolphins 20, Panthers 27.
Nice.
McCaffrey had a 71-yard TD in that one. The Cardinals beat the Saints 20-15. Jaguars putting up only 14 on the Vikings, but the Vikings were only able to put up 10. That was a little bit of a shocker there for me. Two good defenses there, though, huh?
Yeah, good defenses.
Raiders 15, Rams 19. That game had no significance to anything. Bengals beat the Cowboys 21-13.
Mm-hmm.
Our Tampa Bay Buccaneers here in Tampa, 30, Titans 14.
Mm-hmm.
49ers against the Texans, 49ers 13, Texans 16. Bears 24, Broncos 23. And in the late game last night, we had the Chargers putting up 24 on the Seahawks, 14. And then tomorrow, the only game left for preseason week 2, Ravens against the Colts.
So there's the little rundown of the things. So let's dig a little deep into this and see what we got. Eagles, Patriots. And of course, Chris, you've been waiting on this a little bit. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what you think about the Eagles, Patriots?
I'll be honest, I'm not really ever waiting on preseason football games. They're hard to watch sometimes, but you get to find out who that last man to make the team is, which is kind of fun to see at the end of the games and see some of these guys working real hard to try and make the team and giving it all out effort and seeing what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
Philly lost Foles with a shoulder injury in that game.
And I didn't hear anything about the update. I seen what happened, but I didn't see if he's going to miss some time or what's up.
I saw they think he could practice this week, being preseason games. I doubt you'll see him practicing much this week. Good news for the Eagles. Wentz is going to be back doing 11-on-11 drills, probably no contact for him. You're going to see a lot of Nate Sudfeld this week, is my guess.
Mm-hmm.
The question is Wentz going to be ready for who's going to be the starting quarterback week 1 for these Eagles? You know, I don't think Wentz is going to be there coming off that injury, and if shoulder hurt it is full if Foles' shoulder injury is as bad as it looked, I don't think he'll be ready week 1. And you know, we talked about the Bucs schedule, and the Bucs playing the Eagles in week 2.
Yep.
That could be a game changer. That could put, you know, with the Bucs defense playing the way it was playing, that could be a game changer for the Bucs season if Nate Sudfeld's the quarterback week 2.
Well, I looked at the throw, and man, you hate to see that. And you know, we've seen a lot of it and shoulder injuries, but I think he's going to be okay, Foles.
I hope so.
If they're saying he's going to practice, then I think he's going to be okay, but he should absolutely 100% rest it, and they should be playing their third stringer and starting the third stringer in their preseason game.
Yeah, you definitely need. You know what? If I were the Eagles right now, I'd be Nate Sudfeld getting tons of snaps at practice. I'd start him week 1 against the Browns. You know, your team needs a healthy quarterback to go through 16 games in an NFL season. Why risk bringing him back early, aggravating something, and losing him for another 5 to 6 games? Typically you do that with your starting quarterback, and you're going to be in trouble. You know, what did Wentz go down week 14 last year? Foles came in and won the Super Bowl for him.
And your backup quarterback's an MVP in the Super Bowl.
I don't want to talk about that.
Ouch.
I don't want to talk about that.
Whew. Damn, it's get hot in here, isn't it? So preseason football, you know how it is, guys. It's, as we keep saying, it's more about the roster, but you get a chance to see some of the rookies. You get a chance to put some live plays under your starters, but you don't want to get them hurt. Happens every year. So exciting stuff.
Yeah, the Patriots lost Isaiah Wynn in that game, protecting the backside of Tom Brady.
Right.
You know, usually the Patriots are pretty good at depth, so we'll have to see what happens there. But that's a big loss to them in that game, is losing, you know, your starting tackle there.
Absolutely. Let's move right along. We've got the Bucs and the Titans. And, of course, you know what I think? I saw the gunslinger back in action here in Tampa Bay. And I know he scored, okay? He did score a touchdown, but it was another one of them plays that we saw last year with all the turnovers where Jameis thinks that on 3rd and 5 in the red zone. Was it 3rd and goal, or was it just? But
it was 3rd and 5.
Okay.
3rd and 5 on like the 8-yard line.
Right. And he thinks when you're in field goal range that you have to, you know, fall down and throw the ball up in the air and hope that one of your guys make the highlight reel for ESPN.
It worked
this time.
You know, John, I don't want to agree with you, but I have to. I hate agreeing with you. It doesn't make for good sports radio. You cannot make that throw on 3rd and 5 on the 8-yard line and risk giving up an interception there. He got lucky. Goodwin made a nice play, nice move on the ball, and caught it.
Right.
It's preseason. Get that out of your mind, Jameis. You'll have what, 3 weeks, 5 more weeks, 6 more weeks now for him to figure out. You can't make that throw. You're going to lose games if you make that throw.
Absolutely, and he's been criticized for it, and they're saying he's maturing, and you know he's a real smart football guy. But that, to me, how many years are we going to keep talking about Jameis? Well, he's maturing. He's going to be the all-time, you know, leading Bucs quarterback. Come on.
Well, I know you are not a fan of Jameis.
I was, but you know, your timeline, and when you keep saying this, and then you look at the results, that's when it's
You know why you keep him on your team and he's your quarterback of the future? Did you see the moves he made to get out of that pass rush on that touchdown that he should not have thrown? We're both in agreement. He should not have thrown that ball.
yeah.
But the way he got out of that pocket, turned the corner, and made that throw off, it jumping up in the air, throwing it, that's going to win him games. His maturing will win them more games. When he learns that he can't make that throw, he's going to be that much better.
Right.
But he's got to learn not to make that throw, and that 3 points is sometimes just as good as 7.
If he gets to that point,
Yeah.
we've had a Josh Freeman that was supposed to be our quarterback of the future, and he decided he was going to play Canadian football after that. Didn't work out there.
That didn't work out for him either.
I'm looking for them to do well. We talked about this the last time with the Buccaneers, and we talked about, okay, overall, what do we think? Are they going to be 500 team? Are they going to, and it's scary, and I can only hope for the best. It looked like they had fun out there. Remember, the first 3 games is not Jameis, so it might actually do him good.
Yeah, I think it will. You know what? He's going to come back with a fire,
And
having not played those 3 games.
absolutely, and he can watch the vet. He can watch the vet out there, and hopefully Fitz is dialed in. I mean, he's starting 3 games in the NFL in his 14th season here. That's great.
You know what? He's at this point of his career, Fitzgerald is a backup quarterback. He can win you 2 or 3 games coming in a backup, playing in a few games.
Right.
He cannot win 10 to 12 games in a full season. He's just not that good. Jameis is going to be watching those games on TV at home. Hopefully not a bar, Jameis. But he's going to be watching those games, and look for him to come back fired up to play and ready to play.
I agree with you. And obviously, these first 2 games, we had the Patriots and the Buccaneers, so we're going to spend a little more time talking about some of our home teams. And we are not previewing some of the other ones just because we're moving along on this show today. And speaking of that and moving along, we're going Buffalo Bills against the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland!
Talk about players that need to mature. Josh Gordon is back in camp.
Josh Gordon back in camp. That's a big deal for them. If this guy can come back and put the numbers up that everybody, it's the only reason he's still in the NFL. I mean, he's a great player. He's just barely been on the field. So if he can really come back to this team as a vet, mature,
Yeah.
and think football. He's got 16 weeks to think football. That's what he should be focused on. And I'll tell you right now, Josh Gordon, Mr. Josh Gordon, you're not some punk kid anymore getting into trouble like you came out of high school. Mr. Josh Gordon, if you can focus for 16 weeks on NFL that's going to pay you millions of dollars, you can party after that or whatever it is you like to do.
You know, it's some of these players, they make so much money and they can't figure out that what's an NFL career for them. 4 or 5 years, if you're lucky, 7, 8. You know what? That still leaves them at under 30 to do whatever they want once they've made their money and hopefully invested it well and saved and gotten their families where they need to be financially.
Right.
It's that maturity thing once again. You know, the wide receivers for Cleveland, you got Jarvis Landry coming there from the Dolphins. You got Josh Gordon.
Can you look at that? That's awesome.
Then you just drafted Antonio Callaway. Look for him to have a good season too. If those other two wide receivers are out there playing, then you also have Tyrod Taylor throwing to him. I don't think you're going to see Baker Mayfield in the first 4 games at least. I think an injury to Tyrod Taylor is what's going to get him into a game, and I don't want to see Baker Mayfield starting week 1. That's a mistake. I was reading an article on Tim Couch where he said that too. He said that, I was a high school All-American. I was the #1 rated quarterback player in the NFL or going into college. Then I was a Heisman Trophy candidate. Then I won the Heisman Trophy. I had won at every level I had ever played. Then I went to Cleveland, started as a rookie, #1 pick, such high expectations for me, and the Browns stunk. They couldn't protect him. They didn't have players to throw him to. I mean, it ruined his confidence.
It did.
All sports is a mental game, and it's how you mentally decide to make those decisions and what to do. And losing your confidence is horrible in any sport.
You throw a rookie in, and if you can't protect a rookie, and you got the playbook that's not set up to make a rookie succeed, you will destroy them. And Cleveland is notorious for it.
Yeah.
You really look at who they've gone through in the last 10 years, and it's sad because some of these young guys, Heisman Trophy winner players that they've had, is ridiculous, but some of these young guys would have succeeded somewhere else, sitting and watching quality veterans ahead of them. And some of the great quarterbacks that play today, that's exactly why. I mean, look at I'm going to tell you right now, Aaron Rodgers, to me, is one of the best quarterbacks playing right now, okay? I believe that. I think he is. But what if you would have taken Aaron Rodgers as a rookie and started him in Cleveland to get bounced around? The same thing goes on and on with some of these other vet quarterbacks that actually had to sit there. Brady. Look at Brady.
Yeah.
He
learned from Drew Bledsoe.
He watched, and Drew Bledsoe was having an incredible season. Incredible
career.
Yeah. He just decided he was going to try to go head on running the ball
against the Jets. Everybody thought the season was over then. And then I remember I was at a friend's wedding, and we thought our season was done. It was the Colts were good. They were playing the Colts that next game, and nobody knew who Tom Brady was back then. I did. I was a Patriots fan, and I just knew he was some kid out of Michigan. And the wedding was over. We get in the limo. We turn the game on, and the score was like 30-12 or something like that. And we couldn't believe it. We're at a wedding, and the Patriots are winning with Tom Brady over the Indianapolis Colts, who were the team to beat back then.
Right. Anyway, that's the point on that, is that if you've got a chance to sit and watch a veteran quarterback in front of you, and I got to tell you with Taylor, he came into Cleveland like a vet, a mature vet with confidence, and pretty much you can just tell. And I've watched, I don't know if you've watched the HBO Hard Knocks, but it's obviously a produced television show.
Sure.
You're getting what they want you to see, but at the same time, you see a mature, respectful vet coming in a new team where all the attention's on the Baker Mayfield, and he's handling it like a pro quarterback.
I'm going to refer back to that. And, we talked about Brady learning from Bledsoe, Aaron Rodgers learning from Favre, Steve Young learning from Joe Montana.
Yeah.
Okay. Tyrod Taylor is not one of those players.
No.
But I like what Cleveland is doing with this team. I like that Tyrod Taylor is going to come in and be the starter.
I think they finally get it because, we expected, again, here we go. Cleveland's got the top draft pick, and everybody's thinking, and then what did they do right before that? They They went ahead and signed Taylor, and it put the sign out. Wait a second. I think these guys get it.
Let's look at this game kind of. If you take the names of the teams away from this team.
Okay.
So Cleveland has Tyrod Taylor and Baker Mayfield at quarterback. Okay. Carlos Hyde and Nick Chubb, the rookie, at running back. Jarvis Landry, Josh Gordon, Antonio Callaway.
Wow. What
on paper,
loaded.
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 You know what? If their defense can step it up a little bit,
yeah,
this team is set up to be good for the next few years.
They're going to be fun to watch. No doubt about it. They're going to be fun to watch.
I don't see them going first to last like the Eagles did, but this team is going to be a 500 or above team in the near, if not this season, next season.
Do me a favor real quick here.
Sure.
Can you tell me who they're playing week 1?
I can.
Cleveland.
I can. The Philadelphia Eagles. With we don't know who their quarterback's going to be. So,
what would that do for Cleveland, who's won what? 1 game in 2 seasons?
Yeah.
What would that do for Cleveland to come out the first game of the week and beat the Super Bowl champions?
If they don't have Foles or Wentz playing, their first 3 games are the Browns, Bucks, and Colts. They're expected to win all 3 of those games. They should win all 3 of those games if they have a quarterback.
You know who's back quarterbacking for the Indianapolis Colts.
And that's what I'm saying. If we don't know who's playing quarterback for the Eagles, those are 3 games that they could very easily lose.
Did you get a chance to see how Buffalo looked in that preseason game?
Tyrod Taylor looked okay. I mean, or for Buffalo or for Cleveland?
We seen the Cleveland one. We know and like what we're talking. But what about Buffalo?
Buffalo, they lost AJ McCarron. He broke something. I don't remember what it was, and that's gonna hurt them. That leaves their quarterbacks as Nathan Peterman or the 6th pick overall, Josh Allen. I think you're going to see him be the first rounder that actually starts a game, the first game of the season. I don't see Nathan Peterman he's just not that guy that's going to win you enough games in a full season in the AFC East.
Right.
You know what? It's a little bit role reversal there of where we say, hey, do you want to start your rookie quarterback, or do you want him to get tutelage under a veteran player? Nathan Peterman and AJ McCarron are not those players. So I think the Bills are good enough where they have a good enough running game with LaShawn McCoy. You now have Kelvin Benjamin in there, Corey Coleman in there, another first round draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little bit better of a team going into the season than the Browns are.
You think?
Well, they're a more veteran team that has an established run game, has an established passing game. I think LaShawn McCoy needs to have a great season. I don't think the Bills are going to be as good as they were last year.
No, I don't.
And the problem there is going to be they got rid of Tyrod Taylor to the Browns.
I agree. So tough move for them to actually go backwards, but hey, they obviously took a confidence in their draft, and they seen something they believe in, and best of luck to you. But I'm voting for the underdog, and I'm really polling for that story because that's what sports is all about. You want to see Cleveland do good this year. These guys, come on, they win 1 game in 32, and you're ouch.
We'll see if we have a return of the dog pound going back to the glory days.
But so back to the Buffalo right there is what is the rookie quarterback Josh Allen. He did move up in rotation, and he got the opportunity to play with most of the starters. So you're right. He might be the guy. he might be the guy that we see that's the first rookie starter.
Yeah.
Between him and we'll see. The Jets, we'll see.
You know, let's move on to that Jets game. You know, Sam Darnold, he looked good. He looked okay in that game.
Let me cue us up for the Jets game here.
He made some rookie mistakes there that he's just got to learn. He can't throw the ball in those certain situations. He's got to make better decisions. You know, they have another quarterback behind him in Bridgewater.
Right.
And you also have McCown there. You know, we know about him being down here in Tampa, right?
But we know about that. He's a veteran quarterback, so you know, if you get a vet in there to win you a couple games, okay, for a backup, but
you know the Jets have three good quarterbacks there in McNown, Darnold, and Bridgewater. One of them's not going to be on this team at the end of preseason, and it'll be interesting to see who goes, whether it's McCown or Bridgewater. I think McCown will probably get the edge and get the starts over that, and because you can get more for Teddy Bridgewater than you can McCown. And I mean, it's going to be a numbers game, and there's no doubt Sam Darnold is the future of this team. It's not Josh McCown or Teddy Bridgewater.
Right.
So who do you get more bang for your buck in the trade? Because Darnold's not going to start the season here, but something's going to happen, and we're going to see him because the Jets fans are going to get restless. The media is going to get on whoever that starting quarterback is, and they're going to be calling for Sam Darnold all year long. If he doesn't start week 1, they're going to be all upset that he didn't start week 1, and we're going to see that week 2, week 3, week 4 until we see him in there.
I agree with you, and you're right. It's just going to take some bad moves, some bad games by their starter before the crowd actually starts calling for the rookie. And then, you got the Redskins. We talked about them a little bit last week. They've got a new quarterback in town in Alex Smith. I did not get a chance to watch that game, Chris, so I couldn't tell you too much about what was going on in that game. How about you?
Alex Smith is a good above average quarterback. He's going to win you 8 to 10 games a year. Then he's always had running backs at KC to help him out, wide receivers. I was really upset to see that Guy's kid from Washington go down in that Patriots game. I really thought he was going to be the man for them. You got Jameis Crowder as a wide receiver, Vernon Davis and Jordan Reed as your tight ends. I think those two strong tight ends. But I don't know if I find it hard to compare Cousins and Smith for some reason. I don't know that. I think there's so much high expectations for these two new quarterbacks going, Cousins going away and Alex Smith coming in.
Right.
I don't know that that's the answer. I just, Alex Smith isn't getting any younger, and you don't have the weapons that he had in KC.
Do you see the schedule for Washington?
No.
Okay. Week 1, they're in Arizona. Okay.
Okay.
That's
going to be a good game. That's going to go down to the wire.
Week 2, they're in Indy.
I take Indy.
I'm telling you.
I want to beat you too.
If I'm any team right now this year, I'm not looking forward to playing Indy when you've got an Andrew Luck who seems like a kid playing football again.
Yep.
He's super excited.
Yep.
And I'm just not. I can only hope that he's got the O-line. Week 3, okay, Green Bay Packers. Wow. Okay. And then they got a bye week, week 4. And then New Orleans, Carolina, they're coming to our division.
Yeah,
they've got a ton.
Their schedule.
And then week 7, they're at Dallas they're hosting Dallas. Week 8, New York. week 9.
I-
Wow.
You-
We see them week 10. We finally see them week 10. And you know what I was just now looking at, and I don't see it, and it's too bad. It'd have to be a playoff berth. I want to see the brothers go head to head. We'll have to see them in the playoffs if we see them. But you got John Gruden against his brother Jay Gruden. That would be great, wouldn't it?
y-
That'd be-
it would be great. It's it's going to be so much fun having John Gruden back on the sidelines, not in the booth.
you know. What?
I think John Gruden. We'll get to Gruden a little bit later when we
Okay.
talk about the Raiders.
Okay.
But you look at that roster schedule. You're in the NFC West, NFC East, so you've got to play the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Giants twice. Then you're playing the NFC South. So who do you have? The Saints, Panthers, and Falcons, or do they play the Bucks? I don't remember who it would be that they don't play. But regardless, you got the Saints, Panthers, Falcons, or Bucks. 3 of those 4 teams.
Absolutely.
That's a tough schedule, and you were third place.
Right after your bye, you're going at New Orleans, you host Carolina, and then you host Dallas. I mean, wow.
Yeah, the schedule gods were not nice to the Redskins this year.
No. And then you're at New York and you host Falcon. I mean, whew, wow.
I think next week we're going to start going over what we think these teams are going to be. Your Redskins were 7-9 last year. They're not going to be any better than that with that schedule. That's an 8-8. If you're 8-8 on that schedule, you've had a good season, I think.
I'm with you on that. All right, so then let's move along. Raiders, Rams, John Gruden back on the field with the headset. Chucky is back.
Now, if there was a preseason game not to watch this week, this was the game. The Raiders had 15 starters not playing the game, or 15 offensive players not playing the game.
Yes.
The Rams didn't start any of their starters. These two teams play each other Monday night, week 1. Why would they? You're not going to give. I mean, I know you don't have your full game plan in, and you're not throwing everything at these teams because it's preseason. But you don't want your quarterback giving anything away, his cadence, his plays they might run. This game was just, why bother playing it for preseason?
Right.
You want to see some of these rookies play.
And Gruden, and you know what he's thinking. He's thinking that way. He's like, look, it's the next guy to step up. If something happens and goes down, I want to see who it is. I want to see my second stringers, and I want to make sure these guys are ready to go when I call on them.
The Oakland Raiders were a good team last year. They got a new running back. Did you see who their running back is? After Marshawn Lynch, you got Doug Martin.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you have Doug Martin there. Then you got Jordy Nelson. I mean, yeah, he's 90 years old as an NFL player goes, but if he's healthy, he can still do it. You get Martavis Bryant from the Steelers. This team should be a good team.
Well, let's see. Let's look. Okay, because here we go right here. Week 1, okay? They're hosting Los Angeles Rams. Week 2, they're at Denver.
Denver's horrible.
I have
Denver's horrible.
Right there. Week 3, they're at Miami. Okay.
It's 2-1.
Week 4, they host Cleveland.
3-1.
Week 5, they're at Los Angeles Chargers. You never know.
Flip a coin.
You never know what Phillip Rivers is going to do in a game. Competitor.
That's a game where when I look at a schedule and go through a schedule, you're going to win one against the Chargers and you're going to lose one against the Chargers. And when I look at the Chargers, I'm going to go, you're going to win one and you're going to lose one. Those teams are, they're just too evenly matched to not go that way.
Isn't Phillip Rivers a great quarterback? I mean, you put him on another team, okay? The competitive nature of it. If you ever watch these games sometimes where they're getting killed, and the game's over. He comes out there.
He's jawing on the sideline. I love it.
And he comes out there on a drive when there's a couple minutes left in the game. He comes out on a final drive where no matter what you do, you lose, and he treats it like he's 3 down.
Yeah. He's one of those gunslingers. He's gonna keep you in a game. He allows you to come down from 14 points down, and he can come back in any game.
Who would you compare Phillip Rivers to if you had to compare him to a quarterback, current or past?
That current, he's a lot like an Alex Smith, even an Eli Manning, where your team's never out of it with him in the game. He's not going to win an MVP award, but he's gonna keep your team above 500. He's gonna score touchdowns.
He reminds me of a Dan Marino. He's got that quick release, very quick release, and he's probably not going to win a Super Bowl.
When you said Marino, the first thing I thought of, he's never going to win a Super Bowl.
But if you look at that throw he's got and that quick release, he reminds me of a Dan Marino. So that's week 5. Week 6, they're hosting Seattle. They got a bye week, week 7. Real good. I think when you can get a bye week, when you've already got several games in the bag, and you get a chance to kind of step back, refocus, and of course prepare, because you're hosting Indianapolis week 8, and you're then week 9 at San Fran.
You want a bye week to be after week 8.
Yeah,
week 7's okay.
Mm-hmm.
A bye week in 4 and 5 just it doesn't. You're not nicked up. You're not nicked up as much as you are in week 8, 9, 10.
Those teams to get that early bye week, the only reason I would ever see that as an advantage to that team is a significant injury to a starter that needs an extra week to get back.
Yeah.
And then of course it being a game that's a division game or something like that.
Correct.
Coming up off the bye. So something like that. But later in the season, look how much it benefits these teams when you're going for a playoff run, okay?
Yeah.
And you've been roughed up through the season, and now you get a bye week when the team you're playing doesn't.
Yeah.
And you get that extra week to prep, which could make or break you for your playoff run. So obviously you want that lead.
And that's one of the things the NFL, I think, does very well is they set the game up after a bye week to be a game that is going to be a good game.
You're right.
And allows that team to prepare for that team. I don't know if that's a fair advantage if they're both not getting that advantage.
Sometimes no.
But I think it makes for great football.
It does make great football. So they come off that bye week. They're in hosting the Colts. And then they hit the road. Week 9, San Fran. Week 10, Los Angeles. Week 11 at Arizona. Week 12, they're at Baltimore. Week 13, they're hosting Kansas. Week 14, they're hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Week 15 at Cincy. Week 16, they host Denver, and they finish the season off at Kansas City. And I got to tell you right now, John Gruden's got to be loving this schedule.
Yeah. It's, if their schedule at the beginning is a little bit tougher than at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But they should make the playoffs with that schedule.
Yeah, it's kind of week 5 kind of kicks it in for them with week 5, 6, and 7 is their tough weeks. But it's looking good for them. And we talked earlier about it with Gruden coming out of the press box, which I really liked him on Monday Night Football because I like what he was doing. First of all, I loved his sessions he had before season with those quarterbacks. That was fun to watch.
His knowledge of the game, there's nobody better at it.
And all those rookies, you got respect for them.
Yeah,
they do.
You know what? I'm not as big a fan of him as a coach as I was of him in the box on Monday Night Football. He took the Raiders to the AFC Championship in 2000. won against the Patriots, and I mean that was the snowball game.
Right.
Was it a fumble or not? And he got that team there, and then he came to the Bucs. And I'm sorry, but I always considered that Tony Dungy's team.
But it wasn't. Tony Dungy did not win a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. He did.
No, I completely agree with that statement. And yes, John Gruden was the coach of the team that won it.
And so but
he did win it with Tony Dungy's defense that was there for years.
Right.
And I thought, they just announced this week that Tony Dungy's going into the Ring of Honor at the stadium.
Mm-hmm. Well deserving.
He should have gone in before Gruden.
He did not win a Super Bowl.
Okay, so then why is he going in? He didn't win. What's changed? He still hasn't won a Super Bowl with the Bucs.
Because you honor your Super Bowl champion first. It's like this, okay? The first Super Bowl New England won, that was Bledsoe's team, and I'm sorry, but your quarterback, Tom Brady, shouldn't even take the ring.
Whose team was it?
It was Bledsoe's.
Nope.
No.
Nope. It was Belichick's.
Well,
and you know why? You know why I can say that? Because when Bledsoe was healthy, who played?
Oh, Brady came back. Right.
When Bledsoe was healthy, he came back healthy in the regular season.
Right.
Brady continued to play.
Because Brady won the Super Bowl.
Belichick and Brady won the Super Bowl together. Now remember, in that game against Pittsburgh in the playoffs, Brady got hurt. He hurt his ankle. And then Bledsoe had to come in and throw the touchdown to win it in the second half.
You're right.
I think it was either Troy Brown or David Patton in the end zone. And that was a play they beat St. Louis on in the Super Bowl, the same exact play.
I am a Tony Dungy fan, but I will say this, and no mistaking my words when I say it. John Gruden came here as a new coach. He took on a new team. He had quarterback Brad Johnson that nobody else was going to win a Super Bowl with, and he took the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a winning mentality.
Yeah.
Took them
Tony
into the
Dungy's
playoffs.
Winning mentality, yes.
Took them into the playoffs and won the Super Bowl.
All right. Let me ask you this, John.
Okay.
If you're the Tampa Bay Bucs right now,
mm-hmm.
and you fire Cutter,
which I would have done last year.
Okay. And you have only two choices to pick from.
Yes.
Would you rather have Tony Dungy or John Gruden?
John Gruden.
Really?
Yes, I would, and there's a reason why.
Why is that?
His mentality. Tony Dungy will never be a head football coach in the NFL again. Okay? He won't ever be a head football coach in the NFL again. His mentality, his mindset, anything else. Then you take Chucky. Okay, that is a head football NFL coach made to be on the sideline. Yeah. And he has that. He's going to be there at 4 o'clock in the morning. He's going to get absolutely 120% out of each one of those guys that put their jersey on Sundays.
I see what you're saying, and I'm thinking more of the 2000s, early 2000s.
Okay, so if I
Tony Dungy as a coach,
right,
where you know what, he went to Indy and he won a Super Bowl.
He did.
Was it his team? Yeah, I think you can say that Tony Dungy team was for the Colts was his team. I forget how long he was with Indy, but it's. I agree right now. If you're talking present day, who would you rather have? Yes, John Gruden would probably be my choice.
Both of them at their prime.
But yeah, I'm talking back 2001 when they were both legitimate head coaches. Where if they were fired,
mm-hmm.
you would want them on your team. You would want them to be your coach if you were looking for a coach.
Let me tell you. I'll put it to you like this of exactly how it happened. I was upset when Tony Dungy got fired and extremely happy when I seen Gruden coming. I am a John Gruden, and I'll tell you why. Because it reminds me of the mentality of when I played football when I was a kid, of what's expected of you. I don't need to be your buddy. I don't need to be this. I want the best of you when you're on that field. I expect it, or you're not playing for me.
I'll tell you this. What about Tony Dungy being a coach for Jameis Winston? Because, yeah, Gruden's that hard-nosed football player, get in your face, and he grooms football players. Tony Dungy grooms men and football players. He has players that he takes under his wing that aren't even on his team anymore, and from other sports that he takes under his wing with his foundation, that tries to get them on the, we'll call it the straight and narrow.
I like what he did. He played a role in mentoring Michael Vick when Michael Vick was released from prison, and Tony Dungy played a role in that, and he helped get him an opportunity to play football again. So he is a mentor and plays a role in that way. Now, he was in Tampa Bay, what was it, last week, and supposedly had a talk with Jameis. A conversation with Jameis.
And I like that we haven't really heard anything about that.
No, we haven't.
I think things like that need to be kept in house, and I wish more teams did that.
Yeah.
If I know you don't have any kids or any that we know of, but
I got a bunch of little adopted ones that I.
If your kid was going to play football, would you rather have Gruden or Dungy?
Gruden. Again. Yes, sir. No, sir. I'm not your buddy. I am not going to be your buddy. Every one of you will be on the sideline with your helmet either on. And when I was a kid, I was taught one thing. If your chin strap isn't done up, don't expect to get in the game. You better be standing there with your chin strap snapped up. And Chris, I gotta say this right now. You and I attended a football game Friday night.
Friday night under the lights.
And it was a high school football game, okay? And it's my first high school football game I've attended in quite a while. And I'm not going to knock this generation and the kids, and a lot of people they want to knock the generation. They want to say how these kids are. But what I am going to do instead is I'm going to knock the coaches, their lack of responsibility of being leaders and mentors to young men, boys that you're grooming to be young men. It starts, you got a great opportunity in sports to start that. And I see these kids, and you watched it when I did, these kids had no respect for their coaches at all.
You know what? I agree with you to a certain extent. There were things that we saw that we both talked about during the warm-ups, during the game, that the players on the sidelines, they were talking to fans and talking about their stats, and hey, the one kid was having a good game and
taking their shirts off and flexing.
It got ridiculous. But on the other hand, the coaches' jobs, and there was only 5 or 6 coaches on the sideline there, I'll say. Let's say there were 6. Say there were 7. It doesn't really matter. Those coaches were focused on the game on the field. Okay? Mm-hmm. When there's kids behind the bench talking to their brothers, sisters, friends, mothers, cousins, uncle, whoever it may be, talking about how many touchdowns they scored, how many. The one fan asked the kid, how many yards you have. You don't know that as a player on the field, and you shouldn't even be thinking about that as a player on the field. One of the things we didn't like was this player, like John said, was on the sidelines talking to the people. The game's going on. Offense is on the field. He's an offensive and a defensive player. His helmet should be on, strapped on, next to the coach, ready for the next play. And that's what I have the problem with.
Absolutely.
you say that's the coach's problem. I agree it's a coach's problem. That team needs to have a specific coach just roaming the sidelines, not involved in the game plan and what's going on in the game and watching the watching them play the game, but watching the players, seeing what they're doing, seeing who's injured. There were kids that were injured there that went out in that game and should not have gone into that game, and they need to have a coach like that monitors the sideline for them.
How about Anclote High football player Tommy Schumacher, number 72 defensive tackle, 6'2", listed at 250. Wow,
that boy can ball.
The boy was blowing people off of the ball. He had really what I think was the stick of the game.
Oh, most definitely on that.
And then forced a game changer interception. He forced the interception. But what a game from Tommy. Tommy, congratulations on your first game of the season and actually coming out there. And I respect this kid because it sometimes a little too nice, but he did not showboat anything. No, he went out there and he actually played both ways for a little bit there.
Yeah, when that one guard got hurt,
he went out there and he played ball and he was focused on that. The player of the game obviously was Maurice Sturgis. What I wasn't happy about was a little too much showboating from number 21. But you cannot knock his talent. This kid, wow. I mean, incredible first game of the year for this kid.
Yes, he did showboat. He did give a performance that allowed him to showboat. He backed up his showboating with his play. I will say that. Mm-hmm. He's going to be a handful for whatever coach he goes to at the next level. But the skill set on him was fun to watch when he was in the game.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun to watch. He was returning kicks. He's coming in fourth down and scoring touchdowns.
His burst of speed was phenomenal.
He had just an incredible game. And you want to know what's kind of crazy? He's a sophomore.
Really?
Yeah.
John and I don't get into much high school sports. It's just we wanted to go see this local game, and we'll probably go see a local game next week too.
Right.
It was fun to watch and see these kids.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We're gonna keep on doing it, and we're gonna highlight some once in a great while. We're gonna highlight some of these high school games, and probably what you're going to see is another crew we have actually doing a high school sports show because it's a lot of fun to see where these kids come from. If they can show high schoolers play basketball, then we can show the high schoolers playing football. So anyway, we're looking forward to another week of seeing some more cuts in the NFL and getting reports on basically who we're going to see as the starters as these last two preseason football games kick off this week.
A good game to transition there is that Baltimore game coming up on Monday morning or Monday night. Lamar Jackson is the quarterback of the future for the Baltimore Ravens. Mm-hmm. He didn't play his best football. He's not playing his best football.
No.
So far he's been outplayed by RG3. So to me, that puts him as the third stringer. In this day and age, do you keep three quarterbacks?
It depending on who your three are. I mean,
no, Flacco's going to be number one there.
Yes, yeah.
And RG3, he's going to be a backup somewhere. He's not going to be a starter anywhere right now, unless he comes out like Foles did and lights it up when somebody gets injured.
I just don't think the guy can play 3 NFL football games in a row.
You know where I wouldn't be surprised to see him go?
Canada.
That's it. Buffalo. He's kind of that Tyrod Taylor mode that could kind of play in that system.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is with me, if you're going to take him on your team, then I can see him a backup for a hamstring pull. But I seriously cannot see this guy playing and staying healthy himself more than a couple games.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think he's a starter, but you know what? He's someone like Ryan Fitzpatrick. He can come in and win you a few games part time. It's one of the people in that game I want you to watch for. His name is Gus Edwards. He's an undrafted running back out of Rutgers. He's battling for the third string spot, but I just think I think he's gonna win that battle. That's the person I'm looking most forward to watch tonight or tomorrow night in that game.
It looks it's going to be a good game to see some, and we know that with the preseason, and we've talked about that before. Is more or less is actually getting a chance to see what these guys are like with some live football, and how they handle the heat. Well, Chris, I think it's time to go have a little fun on our Sunday and get prepped up. We got a big week ahead of us, so everybody enjoy your Sunday afternoon. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful day here in sunny Florida, and I hope you got a beautiful weather in your neck of the woods. Chris?
There's 3 more Sundays until NFL Sundays begins. I mean, actually, we got 2.5 weeks because we'll have a Thursday game that first week and the weeks before. But I'm ready for the real games to start. You're going to see starters start this next week in the third week, and then in the fourth week we won't see much of the starters at all. If one set of downs, if that is my guess. So this week 3 is a fun week of preseason football. Week 4 is all right. Our team is set. Nobody get hurt, and then we're that Thursday play ball.
And it's right around the corner. The earth is spinning 1,000 miles per hour. It'll be here before you know it. Okay, so everybody, have an awesome day, and we will see you Thursday. Coming up Thursday, we will see you on our next show. Have an awesome day.